Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Tradition, as I said before, you should greet me first. Yes, youngers greet elders, not elders first. It is different from Indonesian traditions. The teachers greet the students first. It is not happen in English. Yes. Yeah. So next time, remember, it is not to make me proud of it. No, no, no. Yes, just to make it our habit. Yes. So I would like you also to ask your students to greet you first. When you are entering the class, and then the students say, "Good morning, Miss. Good morning, Madam. Good morning, Sir." It should be very important to drill, yeah, in English class, not in Indonesian class, not in math class, in English class especially. Okay, remember that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to go on our topic about how to teach reading better than before. You have taught your students, if you are teachers, yes, if you are teachers, you have taught your students how to learn reading, yes. Today we are going to talk about the theory from Mr. Brown, yes, the lecturer at the San Francisco University, to increase our knowledge about how to teach reading. Yes. All right. Who is going to be our presenters today?
Yes.
Who is going to be our presenters today?
Our group, sir. Our group, sir.
Our group, sir. We,
Oh,
sir.
sorry.
We are, sir.
We are, sir.
We are, sir.
We
We
are.
are, sir. We are, sir.
Yes.
Okay, time is yours. Group, group 8. Yes, group 8. 8.
8.
Not
Yes.
8.
8.
Come on.
Yes. Thank you, Professor. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And today we would like to discuss about teaching method development in reading. and will be presented by Safitri Hernisa, Mr. Afif Adani, Mrs. Erlita, and also Mr. Muhammad Rahman Budiman. And you can see on the table of the content here, our discussion is about the first one is research on reading in a second language. And then there is genres of written language. And there is characteristic of written language. The fourth one is about micro and macro skill for reading comprehension. The fifth is the strategies for reading comprehension.
Micro, not micro, micro.
Yes. Micro and macro and macro skills for reading comprehension. And there is the fifth, strategies for reading comprehension. The sixth is types of classroom reading performance. 7, principles of teaching reading skills. 8, there is a 2 reading lesson, and the last one is about assessing reading. Next, for reading, we also know that the written words surround us in daily life. Therefore, we become a person who depends on literation of some letters, symbols, or even any significant matters of our lives. And then here, the focus for reading as a component of general second language proficiency, but ultimately reading must be considered only in the perspective of the whole picture of interactive language teaching. Well, we all know about reading and we met in our daily life. So, the first one, we will discuss about the research on reading in the second language. As the previous research, the research on reading continues to grow over the decades, and then it finally revealed significant findings and that affect learning and approaches to teaching reading skills. The first one is bottom-up and top-down processing. Previously, researchers or specialist reading agreed that that the best way to teach reading is through bottom-up methodology. But then most of the researchers they finally found how to combine the top-down and bottom-up and top-down processing. It has become the interactive reading to get a successful methodology in reading. The next is schema theory and background knowledge. Here, it refers to readers of the background knowledge and the context of its reading. And next is there is teaching strategic reading. This is about the strategies to efficient reading by expert or previous research about, for example, that Anderson said in strategies, the strategies reading, there is a self-planning, monitoring, and evaluating, and so on. And there is the fourth one, there is extensive reading. Here, it is needed to learn extensive reading, especially for academic purpose. And it has been concerned in recent research that especially for academic purpose, for extensive reading. And the fifth, there is fluency and reading rate. That fluency and reading rate has been a constant in recent research. It is very important to learn the fluency and reading rate. The fluency is a combination of both reading rate and reading comprehension. And so Anderson suggests that strategies for fluency, it is about the skimming, scanning, predicting, and identifying main ideas. Next, the sixth one is focus on vocabulary. As in recent years before, in recent years, there has been resurgence of interest in the role of vocabulary knowledge and the acquisition of reading skills. And the findings is to support a strong relationship between vocabulary knowledge and lateral reading ability. And seventh, there is the role of affect and culture. Affect factors and culture play an active role in people's ultimate successful literacy. And the last one in the research on reading, there is adult literacy training. It is focused on the level of teaching an adult in literacy. Move on to the next slide. The second one is about the genres of written language. As we know that there are a lot of genres, or even 100 genres, or different types of written language. But here, each of the types listed below represents a genre of written language which has certain rules for its manifestation, such as the first one, there is non-fiction, for example, like reports, editorials, essays, articles, and so on. There is a fiction, such as novels, short stories, drama, or even poetry. There is letters, greeting cards, diaries, memos, message, announcements, newspapers, academic writing, forms, questionnaire. Also, you can find there is directions for another genre. There is labels, signs, recipes, bills, maps, manuals, menus, advertisement, invitation, or even comic. And next to the going to the next slide, there is a characteristic of written language. Yes, in the written language, there is characteristic to help us as the reader to diagnose certain reading difficulties, to pointing the techniques, and also reminding students of some the advantages of written language. The first one is permanence. One of the characteristics of written language, the first one is permanence. Written language is permanent because the reader has an opportunity to written again and again. It is different from the spoken language, right? You can see the text. It is still here, and you can read it again and again. It's so called the permanence. And the second one is the processing time. Many reading contexts allow readers to read at their own rate, especially reading for pleasure. They aren't forced into following the rate of delivery. The third one, there is distance, means that the written language can be written in some other places at some other time or contextual. Next is orthography. In orthography, in writing, there are graphemes, sometimes punctuation, picture, graphics, or charts to help us to help the reader more understanding about the text. And also in the text, there is a phonological cues, such as you can say you can read in the text that there is a phonological cue, such as like with loud or gasping grounds, or the person laugh, for example. And next, another characteristic is the complexity. In the complexity, we know that writing and speech represent different modes of complexity. But writing, has quite complex because has a longer clauses and more ordination. Sorry. And next, the sixth one, there is vocabulary. Well, one of the characteristics is vocabulary. That written English typically utilize a greater variety of lexical items. The more we read, the more we can know the meaning, the more we can gain a lot of words or our knowledge. The next is formality. As you can see here, formality, writing is quite frequently more formal than speech. Because writing have rhetorical or organizational. So the formality in essay writing that demands a writer's conformity to convention like paragraph topics. It is so you can use written language for the formal context, and it is quite different from the spoken language. Okay. Next, talking about the micro and micro and macro skills for reading comprehension will be delivered by Mr. Budiman.
Thank you, Ms. Nisa Sapitri. Micro and macro skill for reading comprehension. There are many micro and macro skill for reading comprehension. They are, for micro skill, first, discriminate among the distinctive graphemes and orthographic patterns of English. The second, retain chunks of language of different lengths in short-term memory. The third, process writing at an efficient rate of speed to suit the purpose. The fourth, recognize a core of words and interpret word order pattern and their significance. The fifth, recognize grammatical word classes such as nouns, verb, etc. System, example, tense, agreement, pluralization, patterns, rules, and elliptical forms. The sixth, recognize that a particular meaning might be expressed in different grammatical forms. And for macro scale, they are recognize cohesive devices in writing discourse and their role in signaling the relationship between and among clauses. The eighth, recognize the rhetorical forms of written discourse and their significance for interpretation. The ninth, recognize the communicative function of written text according to form and purpose. The 10th, infer context that it is.
Sorry, Budiman.
Yes,
not
sir.
written,
Or
not
yes.
written.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Infer context that is not explicit by using background knowledge. The 11th, infer links and connection between events, ideas, etc. Deduce causes and effects, and detect such relations as main idea, supporting idea, new information, given information, generalization, and exemplification. The 12th, distinguish between literal and implied meanings. The 13th, detect culturally specific references and interpret them in the context of the appropriate cultural schemata. The 14th, develop and use a battery of reading strategies such as scanning and skimming, detecting discourse markers, guessing the meaning of words from context, and activating schemata for the interpreting of text. And then strategies for reading comprehension, because some strategies are related to bottom-up procedures and other enhanced to top-down process. There are 10 strategies that we have to know. The first is identifying the purpose in reading. Efficient reading consists of clearly identifying the purpose in reading something. By doing so, you know what you are looking for and can weed out potential distracting information. Whenever we are teaching in reading technique, make sure students know their purpose in reading something. The second, use graphemic rules and patterns to aid in bottom-up decoding. While we can often assume that one-to-one graphemic phoneme correspondence will be acquired with ease, other relationship might prove difficult. Consider how we might provide hints and pointers and such pattern as this. The example, short vowel sound in VC patterns, such as bed, him, like, with, etc. Long vowel sound in VCE or final silent E patterns late, time, bite, etc. Long vowel sound in VV patterns, sit, quote, etc. Distinguishing hard C and G from soft C and G, such as cat versus city, game versus gym, and etc. The third, use efficient silent reading techniques for improving fluency. If you are teaching beginning level student, this particular strategy will not apply because they are still struggling with the control of limited vocabulary and grammatical patterns, of course. Your intermediate to advanced level student need not be speed readers, but you can help them increase reading rate and comprehension efficiency by teaching a few silent reading rules. We don't need to pronounce it word to ourselves. Try to visually perceive more than one word at a time, preferably precise, unless a word is absolutely crucial to global understanding. Skip over it and try to infer its meaning from its context. And fourth, skim the text for main ideas. Skimming consists of quickly running one's eyes across the whole text, such as an essay, article, or chapter for its gist. Skimming gives readers the advantage of being able to predict the purpose of the passage, the main topic or message, and possibly some of the developing or supporting ideas. This gives them a head start as they embark on more focused reading. You can train students to skim passages by giving them, say, 30 seconds to look through a view page of material, close their books, and then tell you what they learned. The fifth, for strategist reading, scan the text for specific information. The second is the most valuable category is scanning or quickly searching for some particular piece or pieces of information in a text. Scanning exercises might ask students to look for names or dates to find a definition of a key concept or to list a certain number of supporting details. The purpose of scanning is to extract specific information without reading through the whole text. The sixth, use semantic mapping or clustering. Readers can easily be overwhelmed by a long string of ideas or events. The strategy of semantic mapping or grouping ideas into meaningful clusters help the reader to provide some order to the chaos. Making such semantic map can be done individually, but they make for a productive group work technique as students collectively. And then the seventh, guess what you aren't certain. This is an extremely broad category. Learners can use guessing to their advantage to do the following. The first, guess the meaning of a word. The second, guess a grammatical relationship. Example, a pronouns reference. The third, guess a discourse relationship. The fourth, infer implied meaning between the lines. Guess about a cultural reference. Guess, and the last, guess content message. And the eighth, analyze vocabulary. One way for teachers to make guessing pay off when they don't immediately recognize a word is to analyze in terms of what they know about it. Several techniques are useful here. They are A, look for prefixes such as co, inter, and etc. They may give clues. B, look for suffixes such as sien, tif, eli, etc. that may indicate what part of speech it is. C, look for roots that are familiar. Example, intervening may be a word a student doesn't know about, recognizing that the root fan comes from Latin, to come, would yield the meaning to come in between. D, look for grammatical context that may signal information. E, look at the semantic context for clues. The NINS distinguish between literal and implied meaning. This requires the application of sophisticated top-down processing skills. The fact that not all language can be interpreted appropriately by attending to its literal, synthetic, surface structure because it makes special demand on readers. Implied meaning usually has to be derived from processing pragmatic information, as in the following example. The first example, like Bill walked into the frigid classroom and immediately noticed Bob sitting by the open window with a heavy sweatshirt on, and then, brother, he exclaimed simultaneously, eyeing Bob and the open windows. It's sure cold here, Bob. Bob glanced up from his book and growled, "Oh, all right, I'll close the window." The second example, the policeman held up his hand and stopped the car. And the last 4 strategies of reading comprehension, the 10th is capitalize on discourse markers to process relationship. Many discourse markers in English senior relationship among ideas as expressed through phrases, clauses, and sentences. A clear comprehension of such markers can greatly enhance learners' reading efficiency. And then we will be the live read by Mr. Afif or Miss Erlita.
Okay, thank you, Sir Muhammad Rahman Budinman. Now I would like to explain about type of classroom reading performance. You can see on your PPT that you have printed that it is divided to, the first is oral reading and second is silent reading. Silent reading is divided to intensive and extensive reading. Intensive tells about linguistic and content, and extensive reading tells about skimming, scanning, and global. Now I would like to explain it one by one. And before it, I would like to ask you, is there any advantages and disadvantages of types of classroom reading performance? Yes, of course. The advantages of oral readings, there are 3. The first is oral reading serves as an evaluative check on bottom-up processing skill. Second, it doubles as a pronunciation check. Third, it adds some extra student participation if you want to highlight a certain short segment of reading passage. And how about disadvantages of oral reading? There are 3. The first is oral reading is not a very authentic language activity. Second, while one student is reading, others can easily lose attention, or if they are reading in turn, be silently rehearsing the next paragraphs. The third, it may have the outward appearance of student participation when in reality it is mere recitation. And how about silent reading? Silent reading is divided to, that is about intensive reading and extensive reading. Intensive reading, it is usually a classroom-oriented activity in which students focus on the linguistic or semantic details of passage. Intensive reading often calls student attention to grammatical forms, discourse markers, and other surface structure details for the purpose of understanding literal meaning, implication, rhetorical relationship, and the like. And how about extensive reading? It is carried out to achieve a general understanding of usually somewhat longer text. For example, books, long articles, and essay. Most extensive reading is often extensive, technical, scientific, and professional reading can understand certain special circumstances, be extensive when one is starving for global or general meaning from longer passage. And next, there are 8 principles of teaching reading skill. The first, in an integrated course, do not overlook a specific focus on reading skill. It means that it is easy for teacher to assume that our student we learn good reading simply by absorption through generous offering of intensive and extensive reading opportunities. In reality, there is much to be gained by strategic focus on reading skill within lessons that cover other skill. And the second, use techniques that are intrinsically motivating. One approach to reading instruction is to have students create their own material for reading. Other approaches in which learners are given choice in selecting reading material over the potential of increasing their investment. Carefully sequence reading and instructional strategies that are success-oriented give further personal improvement in the process. Further, reading that help learners to form their respective identities should help to bolster their sense of agency. Third, balance authenticity and readability in choosing text. Authentic simple text can either be devised or located in the real world. From ads to label to report to essay, texts are available that are grammatically and lexically simple. Simplying an existing potential reading selection may not be necessary. Yet, if simplification must be done, it is important to preserve the natural redundancy, humor wit, and other captivating features of the original material. Like Nuttall said in 1996, over 3 criteria for choosing reading text for students. The first, we table on content, material that students will find interesting, enjoying, challenging, and appropriate for their goals in learning English. Second, exploitability, text that facilitates the achievement of certain language and content goals that is exploitable for instruction text and technique, and that is integratable with other skills like listening, speaking, and writing. And the third, readability, text with less structural difficulty that will challenge students without overwhelming them. Four, that is explained by Mr. Budiman, there are 10 strategies that you have heard before. And the fifth include both by follow the SQ3R sequence. One effective series of procedures for approaching a reading text has come to be balance the SQ3R technique, a process consisting of the following 5 steps. The first, survey, it means skim the text for an overview of main idea. Second, question. The reader asks questions about what he or she wishes to get out the text. Third, read. It means read the text while looking for answer to the previously formulated question. Four, recite. It means that we process the silent point of the text through oral or written language. And the last is about review. Access the importance of what one has just read and incorporate it into long-term association. 7, plan on reading during reading and after reading practice. It means a good rubric to keep in mind for teaching reading is the following three-part framework. The first, before you read, you have to spend some time introducing a topic, encouraging skimming, scanning, predicting, and activating SMETA. Students can bring the best of their knowledge and skill to text when they have been given a chance to ease into the facet. Second, while you read, not all reading is simply extensive or global reading. There may be certain facts or rhetorical devices that students should take note of while they read. Give students an assessment aspect into your technique, sense of purpose for reading, rather than just reading because you order it. The third, after you read, what should you do? Comprehension questions are just one form of activity appropriate for post-reading. Also consider vocabulary study, identifying the other purpose, discussing the author's line of reasoning, examining grammatical structure, or steering students toward a follow-up writing exercise. And 8, build an assessment aspect into your technique. What should you do in this step? It is very important in reading as it is in listening to be able to accurately assessing student comprehension and development of skill. The first, there are over responses that indicate comprehension. For example, number 1, doing. The reader respond physically to comment. Second, choosing. The reader select from alternative post orally in writing. The third, transferring. The reader select from alternative post orally or in writing. The fourth, answering. The reader answer question about the passage. Fifth, condensing. The reader outline or take note on a passage. Sixth, extending. The reader provide an ending to story. 7, duplicating. The reader translates the message into the native language or copies it by beginning level or very short passage only. 8, modeling. The reader put together a toy, for example, after reading direction or assembly. And next, conversing. The reader ends in a conversation that indicate appropriate processing of information. And for the next, will be explained by Sir Apip. Please, for Sir Apip.
There is no Sir Afif, Mr. Afif.
Okay, sorry, sir, Mr. Afif.
Reading lesson. Based on Brown, reading lesson divided into 2 levels. The first is beginner level and the second is advanced level. Here the example for the sample lesson text from in the based on the Brown books. Bone and Bennett and Mochal design on rainforest text. It illustrates the use of natural authentic language and tasks at the beginning level. Some attention is given to bottom-up skills, but not at the expense of top and down processing, even at this level. And the second is advanced level. It illustrates the use of an article from newspaper as the main focal point for reading. Notice that the lesson begins with top-down processing on the assumption that at this level, the student needs is for activating schemata. It means skimming and scanning section and understanding the organization and purpose of the article. At this level, advanced level, the genre is various. It can be a chart of the human genome, so students can lead to take a more detailed look at their level of comprehension of each genre, followed by critical reading. And the next is assessing reading. Based on Douglas Brown, the classic principle of classroom assessment applies to your attempts to assess reading comprehension. The first is be specific about which micro or macro skill. And the second is identify the genre of written communication being evaluated. And the third, the last, choose carefully among the possibilities ranging from simply perceiving letters or words to extensive reading. So the next is there are several item types for assessing reading. The first is for assessing perspective reading. The focus on recognition of symbols, letter, or words. We can use reading aloud, copying, reproduce in writing, and multiple choice recognition. And the last is picture and picture identification. And the second is selective reading that focus on morphology, grammar, and lexicon. We can use multiple choice grammar or vocabulary tasks and multiple choice within a short paragraph and sentence level cross task. And the fourth is editing tasks, and grammar or vocabulary tasks. And the last is picture tasks. For the interactive reading, we can use a discourse level cross task that requiring knowledge of discourse. And the second one is reading comprehension question, short answer response to reading, discourse editing task, multiple choice, and scanning. And the last is for the extensive reading, we can use skimming, summarizing, responding to reading through a short essay, and note taking, marginal notes, highlight, and outlining. That's enough. Back to the moderator.
Yes, that's all our discussion. That's all about our discussion. And this is the resources from the book from Brown, 2007, Teaching and Principle.
From Brown's book.
From
Brown's
Brown's
book.
book. From Brown's book in 2007. The title is Teaching by Principle and Interactive Approach to Language in the 3rd edition. And also we have another resources to at least increase our knowledge. It is from Brown's book too, in 2015, about teaching and principles and interactive approach to language pedagogy in the 4th edition. Okay, that's all. If you have a question, you might ask.
Okay, thank you, Group 8. But before you have what is called question and answer session, I would like to correct your pronunciations. Remember, habits cannot be changed easily. Yes. Remember that. Habits cannot be changed easily. Yeah. Nearly all of you pronounce technique, for instance. Yeah, it is your habit, especially for those who are Sundanese. Yes, yeah, not technique but technique. Yeah, last week also I reminded you about this. Yes, so it needs time to change the habit. Yes, of course. Yeah, it needs big effort also. Yeah, but I would like you to change your habit of pronunciation, your pronunciation. Yeah, technique. The stress is on nick, not suitable, but suitable. Yeah, suitable. Yeah, should. Okay. Yeah, I would like you to repeat after me about this. Okay, let's start like we did in elementary school. Yes. Okay. Technique. Come on.
Technique.
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 Technique. Come on.
Technique.
Certain.
Suitable.
The first. Come on.
The first.
The second.
Third.
But remember, the eight, not the eight. The eight. Yang kedelapan. The eight. The 11. Yes.
11.
Yeah, look at this. Yeah, you say policeman, not policeman. We know policeman, tukang semir sepatu, polish. Yes. Yeah, you should drill yourself how to pronounce Polish. Come on, polish.
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 Polish. Polish.
Please.
Please.
Police
Please.
means
Please.
please. Please.
Policeman.
Police.
Yeah.
Police.
Policeman. Policeman.
Please help me. Please. Please.
Policeman.
Please.
Please.
Yeah. So policeman, not policeman. Policeman tukang semir sepatu pinggir jalan tuh.
Policeman.
Polish, foolish, dull, foolish. So you should be able to differentiate between polish, foolish, please. Yes. Okay. Purpose, not purpose.
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 Purpose. Purpose.
Purpose.
Purpose.
Yeah. Deliver, not deliver. Deliver.
Deliver.
Deliver.
Deliver.
Yeah. I deliver you this lesson. I deliver you this topic. Yes.
I deliver.
Examining, not examining. No. Examining. Come on.
Examining. Examination.
Illustrate. Recognition. Sama.
Recognition.
And my suggestion is very simple. If you want to increase your pronunciation, pronunciation aspect, pronunciation skill, I would like you to read more and more your dictionary, or you can use your cell phone. Yes, how pronounce a certain word, not certain, certain words. Yes,
Certain words.
now that's my suggestion. That's my advice. Yes, that's my input to you before asking question and answer. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen. Now you have question and answer session. I hope that all of you will be involved in this session. Your question may be given to the group or to me, yeah, about this topic, of course. Come on, time is yours.
Good morning, sir. I'm Novianti.
No need. It is Indonesian style.
I want to ask about I want to ask for the group about about strategies for reading comprehension. Can you give me example about number 7? Guess when you are uncertain. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Extremely broad category. Can you give me some example? Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, group, how many questions are you going to adopt or to receive?
Maybe
1 by
3.
1 or 2 by 2 or 3 by 3? Yes. Group.
Okay.
Safitri and friends.
Yeah.
Okay.
1 by 1.
I would like to answer.
1 by 1.
1 by 1, sir.
Oh, 1 by 1.
Okay. Listen to me, all of you. If you ask your listeners to have one by one questions, you must be ready to answer it straight away. So you have no time to think over and over, but yeah, of course it is the best. But if you want to, to think over and over about the answer, you may ask your listeners 2x2 or 3x3 or 4x4. So you have time to discuss, you have time to think the answer about. But if you are ready to have one by one, it is a good, it is a good speaker, of course. Come on.
Yes, we are one by one, sir.
Okay, be ready. All the members should be ready to answer it. Come on, answer Novianti's questions.
Okay, I would like to try answering Miss Novianti's question. Well, for the strategies for reading comprehension, number 7, guess when you are not certain. When we are not certain in reading a word. Certain. Okay, thank you, sir. When we are not certain in reading a word, we can just guess the meaning of word. And then, for example, we don't understand a word, the meaning of the word, for such as what the meaning of hold. We can try to guess the meaning. Hold is menahan, but other meaning, hold has the other meaning, it is menghentikan, like for example. And also we can guess grammatical relationship when we are not certain. There are many students still don't understand about grammar patterns in a sentence, but we can give time to the student to just guess what is the grammar pattern of it. Maybe that's from me, sir. You can add maybe you more, please.
Yes, of course. Novianti's question is how to solve the problem. Yes, how to overcome this problem. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you have, let's say if your students, if you drill your students to guess the meaning of a certain words, of course, you should advise your students to relate the words, the difficult words, to the context. To relate the words to the context of the sentence, to the context of the passage or the paragraphs. Yes. So by knowing the context, maybe you can guess the meaning of the word. That is about guessing. Yes. Relate the words to the context to know the meaning. That's how you cannot, by searching on internet, by reading dictionary, that is not guessing. That is not guessing. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you give your students a certain paragraph, for instance, or a text, don't put so many difficult words in the text. So if you give your students reading text, if you deliver, if you supply your students reading text, you must be sure that your students knows all the vocabularies from the text. Yes, because remember, teaching must be the same as testing. Yes. So what you ask the students in the test should be the material you have taught before. Yeah. It is a sin if you ask the students to guess all the words in the text. No. Yeah. You must be sure that most of the words in the text has been learned by your students. Yeah, if you put some words, that is okay. Yeah, to make them guessing, to make them guessing the meaning of the word itself. After that, of course, you may ask your students to look up their dictionary. When I was a teacher of secondary school and high school and vocational school before, yes, there is no class without dictionary. What about you? Do you force your students to bring the dictionary every time you teach them? I don't think so. I don't think so. You are not a good teacher. When I was a student at university also, the first day of learning process, showing the lecturer's dictionary. Bapak Ibu, ketika saya kuliah, hari pertama masuk belajar karena prodi bahasa Inggris, harus bawa dictionary. Kalau tidak bawa kamus, tidak boleh masuk. What about you? Saya ngajar di S1. Ya, beberapa tahun lalu. Ya, sebelum ditempatkan di S2. Ngajar di S1, saya bilang, no class without dictionary. Anda tahu apa yang saya lakukan? Mereka bilang, kami nggak punya duit beli dictionary 350.000. Saya bilang, kamu punya berapa? 125, 150, separuh harga, punya nggak? Mahasiswa Unindra bilang, S1, kami bisa Pak. Kalau saya bagi buku dari Cambridge semua. Saya minta ke Cambridge langsung separuh harga. Alhamdulillah Cambridge memberikan. Selama 3 tahun berturut-turut, Anda tahu? Tahun keempat, ketika orang Cambridge datang ke Indonesia, gimana mahasiswamu katanya? Saya bilang masih miskin-miskin. Wah, nggak bisa, masa terus-terusan kami support. Gitu. Mereka support 3 tahun berturut-turut. Ratusan dictionary ke Unindra. Saya bilang kepada dekan di S1 waktu itu, kita kerjasama dengan Cambridge supaya kita bisa mengirim mahasiswa ke Cambridge. Tidak ditanggapi. Ya sudah. Asal orang Cambridge datang ke Indonesia, pasti saya diundang. Kami makan-makan. Ya. Do you know what? Because I give them training in Indonesia. Oxford also. Banyak profesor, banyak dokter, tapi kok saya yang ditunjuk. Alhamdulillah, itu rezeki. Ya, jadi saya sudah memberikan ratusan, ya mungkin waktu itu ribuan dictionary, separuh harga. Ya, tapi sekarang nggak bisa lagi karena tahun keempat saya dibilang, waduh kami tekor nih. Ratusan tiap tahun. Ya, saya bilang, ya tolonglah saya, mahasiswa saya dari low level citizen, saya bilang gitu. Ya, mereka bilang, oke, that's okay. Tapi Unindra tidak mau kerja, ya maaf, saya nggak mau katakan tidak mau, waktu itu tidak ditanggapi, saya mau kerjasama. Padahal itu kesempatan. Sampai sekarang tidak bisa mengirim. Padahal waktu itu saya pikir saya akan kirim tiap tahun 5 atau 3 orang ke Cambridge. Karena hubungan saya bagus. No response. It is a chance, but we didn't have the chance. Yeah, that is a bit of my experience, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. And every year, do you know what? Setiap tahun saya mengirim orang, ada yang ke Taiwan, ada yang ke Perancis, rekomendasi saya. Ya, alhamdulillah ada yang lulus, ada yang tidak lulus tes. Ya, semester lalu ada yang ke Taiwan. Saya bikin rekomendasi. Saya bilang, kenapa nggak minta dari dekan? Bapak aja. Setiap semester saya memberi rekomendasi going, ya, schooling abroad. Ya. Jadi, iya, tapi Anda harus bagus. Anda harus bagus. Ya. It is a challenge, and it is also a chance. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's why I want you, yeah, to pronounce every word well, yeah. Even though that, oh, I'm just a teacher of elementary school. Never mind. Maybe someday you will be better. Be better than me. Be better than me. Yeah, that's my hope. That's my dream. But you must have a big effort to change your habit. Your pronunciation will be better. Yeah, tomorrow will be better than today, and the day after tomorrow will be better than tomorrow. That's our motto of life. It's not just enough. You know what? I'm teaching at Tunindra. Do you know what? How much do you pay? You pay less than UI, yes, less than Atmajaya, less than UNJ, yes. So you can guess my salary at Tunindra. Do you know what? I usually invite it to some companies, to some international school. Yeah, maybe next week, in this coming July, I'll give a seminar at the international school. Do you know what? I can earn, yeah, in 2 or 3 hours, 5 million. Yes, at least 3 million. Saya mengajar Anda berapa jam, berapa upahnya? Yes, but I can get from companies, yes, from international schools. Yeah, million rupiahs. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like you to drill yourself better and better. Yes. Okay, go on with your questions.
I would like to ask question, sir.
Yes.
I ever heard that someone said reading skill is also called Cinderella skill. Can you explain us, sir, what it means? Thank you very much.
Yes. What is Cinderella? Who is her? Yes.
Cinderella is an abandoned girl, I think.
Fiction character.
Cinderella is an idol of children, a model of children all over the world. A trendsetter of children. Yes, an idol of children. So, do you still remember the proverb says, reading is the window of the world? Yes. Membaca adalah jendela dunia. Jika Anda mau lihat dunia, bacalah. Nabi Muhammad disuruh Iqra. Yes, remember that? The first word, Iqra. Read. So if you want to know the word, read. So reading is the window of the world. Are you going to know about all the world without going there? Are you going to know about America or Europe without going to Europe or America? Read. That's why some people also in England say that Cinderella is, reading is the Cinderella's of the children. So if you want to make your children know the world, read. And today, of course, not read, watch. Watch television, watch YouTube. Yeah. So by reading, of course, we can absorb, we can know all the things in the world. Everything can be read by clicking Google. If you want to know everything about the world, just ask Google and read. Yeah, that's why some people say that reading is the Cinderella of the world. Yeah, Cinderella is the trendsetter of the children. Yes. Yeah. All fathers and mothers maybe tell about the story of Cinderella. Yes. Yeah. Why don't you use Upin and Ipin in Malaysia? What about Indonesia? Yeah. We have no trendsetter in for children in Indonesia. I don't know. In Malaysia, they have Upin and Ipin. Yes. What about Indonesia, our country? I don't know. You may create by yourself, maybe.
Malin Kundang, maybe, sir?
Si Unyil,
Malin
sir.
Kundang? No. It is not a good example. Malin
Unyil.
Kundang is not a good example for education. Yes.
What about si Unyil, sir?
Oh, si
Yeah,
Unyil,
Unyil.
maybe.
It's a nice thing. Yes,
Yeah,
it's
it
nice.
is also a trendsetter for children in Indonesia. Yeah.
Musarara.
Yeah, si Unil maybe, si Unil, yeah. Okay.
Unyil.
So you can create, someday maybe if you are fond of writing, please write down. I have no time for that because I'm very busy actually. I'm very busy teaching so many subjects. Yes, Indra. Yeah. So if you have time, if you have spare time, you may write something to become idols of Indonesia, idols of our children. Okay, go on.
Thank you very much, sir.
Welcome. Come on, class. If you don't
Sir?
have any questions, I have
Sir?
so many questions.
Sir?
Okay, Veda, come on.
The question is for you. It's about analyzing vocabulary. I heard that Mr. Bambang said it's about analyze vocabulary, about adding prefixes, suffixes, and others, and the root of vocabulary. I don't know how to implement it in my classroom. about analyzing vocabulary, because the thing that I do in enhancing my students' vocabulary is having a kind of vocabulary test. I give them 5 vocabulary, and it's a meeting, and then I test them in the next meeting. But it's only in Indonesia and meaning in Bahasa. Just for example, like I say, book, and they have to write buku. When I say buku, they have to write books in English. But I don't know how to implement it like this, the suffixes, roots of vocabulary, so they can enhance the vocabulary, not like the way I did in the last semester. Please, sir, give me an idea of writing idea, just like usually you give me. Thank you.
Linda, where do you teach? At elementary school, secondary school, high school?
Senior high school with very low vocabulary input, sir.
Yes, good. Thank you for the information. If you are teaching at senior high school, senior high school, of course it is not good if you drill your students by saying buku. What is buku in English? Book. What is pen? Pena. No. It is the old style of teaching. Translation method in teaching English is an old crack. Go to the museum. Sorry. So nowadays, yeah, especially if you ask me about how to analyze words for senior high school, you should be able to drill your student by saying like this. Yes. Teach, for instance. Yes, teach. Yeah. By using I teach. He teaches. They teach. Teaching. Teach becomes teaching. Yeah. Yesterday, taught. Already taught. That's how you analyze teach. Teach become teaching. Teach become taught. Teach become teach. Teach become teaches, for instance. Yeah. Don't translate it. No. It is forbidden today. Yes. Yeah. Let them explore by saying, my mother teaches her students. I am teaching now. Tomorrow I will teach. Yeah. Just analyzing, just exploring the word of teach. What is a person who is teaching? Teacher. One teacher. If two teachers. Teachers. Not as teachers. That's how you explore about the word teach. Yeah. So this kind of method can be done. Do not translate it anymore, my dear. No. Yeah. What about teaching elementary school or kindergarten? Don't translate it. Just say pen. Yeah? Give the example. Come. Use your body gestures. You may use TPR. Stand up. Listen to me. Come. Okay. Don't come, Mari. Oh, no. It is forbidden. Translation method is the old method. that should be forgotten by us as a teacher. Remember that. It is not good. Direct method is better. Direct method is better. Direct method. Treat them in English situation. In English situation. Yeah, start from the very easier one, of course. Yes. You know what? I've told you that I have taught, yeah, secondary school for some years, senior high schools also, and also the most of my time as lecturers, yes, as a lecturer. So what you have done before, I've done it earlier before you, yes. Siswa saya di Jakarta ketika saya mengajar, sorry ya, sekolah kejuruan nomor 2 di Jakarta. Ketika saya mengajar SMP di Sumatera Utara, number 1. Dulu. Yeah. That's why I was number 1. Yeah. The best teacher at the time. Ya itu dulu lah itu. Cerita dulu. Kelebihan orang tua itu kan menceritakan yang dulu. Kelebihan anak muda itu membayangkan yang akan datang. Dreaming the future. Yeah. Okay, Winda. So forget translation, my dear.
Yes, sir. Really. Yeah, because in elementary school I try to make with pictures like that, sir. But in senior high school, you know, oh my God, that's why I still in banana and monkey. I have told you before, in my senior high school they don't know if I told them about the story of banana and monkey. Sometimes that what is banana? Oh my God, you know. How do I start? Thank you very much. So I will keep the direct method, whatever happened, right? Is it right, sir?
Yeah, yes, you are right. You may start from this is one. Yeah, this is one. Don't give them complicated sentence, for instance. Yeah, try from this is one. Remember that a good class, a good learning process is a joyful learning process, especially for kindergarten, elementary school, junior high school. Of course, you can force at senior high school, and especially for adult learners, yes. Yeah. Okay, you still have any?
Thank you.
Come on. Don't have any? Yeah, if you don't have any more questions, I would like you to, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, I'll give you some assignment this week. Yeah. Maybe a little about listening, speaking, and reading. Yes, these 3 aspects. So look up your Google Classroom. I'll post it. Yeah, I'll post it in these coming days. And I want you to answer it in this week. Yes, before next week. Yeah, to know how far do you know about listening aspect of language, yes, speaking, and reading. I want you to know exactly about what is, as I said before, that what is actually micro skill of listening, speaking, reading, for example. Yeah. What do you do? If I ask you to teach micro skill of reading, you should be able to give me the answer and the examples. Yeah. What do you do about macro skill of reading, for instance? What do you know about bottom up? How do you teach bottom up reading? How do you teach top down reading? Yeah. What kind of questions are you going to ask to your students? Yes. Why listening is difficult? Yeah. What is the meaning of rhythm? For instance, what is the meaning of intonation? How many kinds of intonations do you know in English? Do you practice it? Mr. Budiman, yeah, this is an easy question. Mr. Budiman, how many kinds of intonations do you know?
I'm not certain, sir.
You are not certain. Yes. Anybody? Sapitri, yeah, this group. Miss Sapitri. Intonations.
Is
Oh,
it
you are teachers.
3 intonation? Sorry.
3 intonation, you are
Not
not
certain.
sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but actually quite three intonation.
Miss Erlita, you are teacher, right? Oh my God. How
There
do you
are
pronounce? Yes.
four,
Oh,
sir.
yes. Okay. How do you pronounce this sentence? Do you like me? Or do you like me?
Do you like me? Do you like me? Falling, yes, sir. Do you like me?
Fall and rise.
Falling and rising,
Falling
sir.
flat.
Do you
What
like
is your
me?
name? What is your name? Or what is your name?
What is your name?
What's your
What is
name?
your name? Name.
Your name. Nice.
Yeah, we
Rising.
have
Rise.
2 kinds of intonation in English. Yeah,
Rise and
Rise and
rising,
low.
not
Rise
rising.
and fall.
Falling.
Yeah, falling intonation. There are only 2.
Oh,
Low and high intonation.
No, no,
falling
no,
and
no.
rising.
Falling and
Falling.
Falling and rising, sir.
Falling.
Yeah, falling and rising intonation.
Oh, falling and rising. Yes.
Yeah. When do you use rising intonation? What? This is the fundamental knowledge of reading. When do you use rising intonation?
When we ask, sir, when we ask a question.
Yeah, yes, of course. When you ask the questions. Falling and rising is questions, are questions. When do you use rising intonations?
When we
When?
think
When you ask question, that's wrong.
When we comment someone to do
No,
something.
come on. Raising and falling intonation are used in questions. But how do you differentiate raising intonation and falling intonation? How? Or when? Wow, wow, oh my God. Ya
Rising
pantasan Bapak Ibu salah bertanya. Yeah, raising intonation, use if the question started by what do you know about this? Is, am, are, do, does, did, is, am, are, was,
Yes, no question.
Yes, no question.
Yes, no
Yes, no
Question.
question.
yes, no, what is it? The other, by using auxiliary
Auxiliary verb. Yes.
am, is, are. Yeah. Are you a student? Is he good? Is Novianti beautiful? Beautiful? When do you use falling intonation?
Statement. In the statement.
No, we are talking about questions, my dear.
We have question.
WH
question. Maybe, sir.
5 questions, sir.
What are you talking about? Yes, it's falling down.
Use question words.
Question words, yeah, question words.
Question words, question. How many question words do you know? Nggak hafal juga, Pak. Berhenti jadi guru, Pak. Biar masuk enggak?
There are six main questions. 6 main question. 5W and 1H.
Yes.
WH 5 questions, sir.
How many? My question is how many?
Wow, W6.
6 main question.
6
Yeah,
main
what?
question.
Main question.
What, when,
Who,
where, why,
Why?
how.
where. So how many?
7.
6.
6.
Yeah, you may count by yourself. You may count by yourself. But remember, by using question word, question should be falling intonation. You never say like this. How are you? No. How are you?
Oh,
Why?
how are
Why?
How are you?
Why?
How is he? How is your father? How is your mother? How is your husband? Where are you? Not where are you? No. Where are you? Where is she? Puji Lestari, where is your husband? Which one is your husband? Hikmatiar or Afif? Falling intonation. Yes. Is she your husband? Is he your husband? Is. Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, come on again. Yeah. Well, these are fundamental knowledge, yes, in reading. Yeah. In reading. So there are only 2 intonations in reading, yeah, in questioning. So remember that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think time is up, and then you are going to have another subject, of course. Thank you very much to Group 8 and Group 9. Good luck. Do your best, please. Better than Group 8. And thank you very much to all of you who participated in this meeting today.
Thank you.
Have a nice weekend. Goodbye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Have a nice
Much
day.
for your new knowledge for us.
Thank you, sir.
Guys,
Wassalamualaikum.
grammar guys.